The American males.
The American males! Who can save Hogan in their time of need?
It's the strippers.
It's showtime, folks!
This is where the big boys play, huh?
Woo! And look at Goldberg! He's ready!
It's going to be the biggest battleground in the history of our sport.
Welcome to the greatest hour in sport. It's the Cultaholic Classic Nitro Review. Hello, you. My name is Tom Campbell. I'm with Sam Driver in a very, very appropriate shirt if you're watching on the Patreon.
I'm not going to tell you what it is if you're not. So
No, you should be subscribed.
Yeah.
You don't have to be, I know.
That's it.
Yeah, time's tight. Do what you
to
need
actually
do.
see us now, you know, it's very exclusive.
It is indeed. My eyes aren't for every man.
No, I'm wearing a Gunther t-shirt.
That genuinely rocked my world yesterday when Gunther. I didn't even know he wasn't very well.
Yeah.
Devastating. He
Just
was
got
59. Jeebus. Sad time. But that's a great t-shirt. Big fan of that. So we send our best to the family of Gunther. I know they're big fans of the Classic Review. And also, if you're watching on the podcast, if on the Patreon feed, Sam's got new hair.
Yeah,
New hair boy.
it's like a smoky silvery color, but it's gonna get lighter as I wash it more, obviously. So
Yeah, I like
it's quite
it.
dark right now, but
Aren't we all?
yeah.
What made you decide to change your hair up?
Well, I mean, it was growing out,
Just growing out.
so I
you
needed
just-
to bleach it again. But because I've kind of bleached it and colored it before, the ends go a bit darker. So take it darker. The ends were kind of silvery grey anyway. Take it darker, make everything kind of darker, and then it'll all wash out together and settle.
Is there any hair color away from silver that you'd like to try?
I just like having kind of light hair now, but it's just, you know, I might just start putting up a pole.
Ooh.
I'm not going multicolour, I can tell you that much. But I'll do peach. I'll do. I'm not going orange. Just can't do orange. It's not happening.
No?
Nah.
You quite suit orange.
I've had teal hair.
Have you?
Yeah, I had teal hair for the end of SmackDown Graded.
My brain had to remember what
blue
teal
hair,
was.
blue t-shirt, blue jeans.
That's
blue
a commitment
tie,
to the brand.
And then they went and farted out an episode that wasn't that great for my farewell. So
You showed more commitment to the SmackDown brand than probably a lot of people on SmackDown did.
I loved doing graded. You know, I loved especially 205 in NXT because it was like 205 was the secret nobody else was
yeah.
really putting any attention on. It was like, well, fuck you guys. I'm having a great time every week.
My first graded experience was when you do 205 and NXT.
Yeah.
And then I started getting chucked in the middle to do NXT UK.
Yes.
That's what my early days into the world
I
of
throw it
graded.
to you and you throw back to me.
Yeah,
We didn't always get it right.
We didn't. But you know what? Who does? What a time graded was.
Better presenters.
I mean, that. A little bit of that,
I mean, not
maybe.
you, me mainly. It was me just forgetting to throw to you. It'd just be all of a sudden they were like, yeah, and then I mean that was such a great main event. Hello, welcome to NXT UK.
Cuts a weird bloke pulling tea bags out of his jacket every week
God,
for a
yeah,
bit.
Yeah, I'd be picking tea bags out my shoes.
You're welcome, mate. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Hey, but look, we're not here to talk about wrestling of that era. We're talking about wrestling from 1995.
Yeah, much more refined time all around.
It certainly is. So yesterday you listened to the Classic Raw review for the 2nd of October 1995, and we are living in perfect synchronicity because this is the Nitro that went up against it.
Yes, and there's a fun little game for everybody tonight. You're not allowed to look at the card. You're not allowed to watch the episode beforehand.
No.
What you got to do is just guess along with us which actual wrestling legend, and is a legend at the time, gets a total jobber's entrance tonight.
Oh, fun game. We will get to it. So let's take a little look at the real world at this point in October the 2nd, 1995. Really important day for British music.
Yeah?
Do you know what that might be, Sam? I don't know.
Hit me with it.
It's the day that Oasis released What's the Story? Morning Glory.
Ah, all right, yeah.
Until Adele's 21 rocked up, it had the highest number of platinum certifications at 14. It did very, very well for them.
Yeah.
The song Wonderwall, inspired by an instrumental album that George Harrison wrote.
Have I ever told you about my experience with Wonderwall every week?
No.
So where I live, there are a lot of bars nearby, and there's an alleyway, and I live in like this street. And on my street, it's between a couple of sets of bars. But there are buskers, and some of the buskers will just play random stuff all night. There's people that just do all sorts of different things. But there's one guy who's got like 5 Britpop classics. And Wonderwall is, of course, the last one. Now, what he does is he finds all these people who are pissed and having, the most important night out of their lives, and starts playing Wonderwall. And then they're all like singing along with it and going ape shit for it. Then they walk away, go to a different bar. He walks to the other end of the street, does the same thing, and then just walks to piss people back up the street. So he just gets all these people having this massively unique experience to them, like going, oh my God. And then he played Wonderwall and we were all singing along. And it's like, motherfucker, there've been 40 groups of you all night. Go into a bar and sing Wonderwall, please. Just go at the Pop World. Go anywhere. There's plenty of places in the city centre. Go there.
He's like the guys are at Universal Studios.
He's smart, though.
Oh,
Just
yeah?
fart out the same 4 or 5 songs, make a load of money.
He knows the audience, doesn't he?
And he takes them away from the other buskers, who then try and do it, and everybody's a bit like, eh. So
he does sound like one of those actors at Universal that would be on like Jaws the ride, and they'd stand there all day and do that same bit of dialogue.
that's it.
for
Yeah.
every group that went
like
by.
He's just waiting for those first 3 songs to kind of fart off, and then he plays Wonderwall, and everybody gives him a load of money, and then he just repeats the same process.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Look out! Okay, if you that's near where you live,
Yeah.
right? Okay, so
There's probably one in every city, though. I just find it amazing
yeah.
that all these people are having a very unique experience. They probably talk about the next day, and it's like, probably about 500 of you had it.
nothing's unique anymore.
You've all been lied to.
Fun factoid from what's the story? Morning Glory. The Gallagher brothers fell out because they both wanted to do.
Really?
I know, right? Imagine such a thing. They both wanted to do lead vocals on "Don't Look Back in Anger." Eventually, Noel did it on the promise that Liam could do Wonderwall. And they never argued again.
No, that was it. That was, famously it.
Elsewhere in the music world, Simply Red's Fairground was number 1 in the UK in the singles chart. Well, not for much longer. Here comes Oasis.
Yeah.
Charging down the road.
There goes Simply Red. Off into the sun.
I love the thought of going home to you. And Mariah Carey's Fantasy is number 1 in the US, which is lovely. If you're a video game fan, this will pass me by, but I'll give it a nod in case it's one of yours, one of your faves. Secrets of Evermore was released for the SNES.
Yeah.
Did 81% on game rankings.
No idea what it is, but I'll have a look.
RPG from Square. They're always very good.
Okay, well, yeah, they've got only a semi-legendary track record. I wouldn't say it's that impressive that they released all of the games I ever loved, but
they did all right in Sam's book. Basically, they did all right. From the wrestling world, the ratings from last week are in. Mm-hmm. Raw scored a 1.9. Mm-hmm. And Nitro scored a 2.7.
Nice.
So it's a win.
Nitro off to the races.
Win for Double E and the lads. Vince is crying foul, saying Nitro is costing WCW $150,000 a week, and they simply cannot afford to keep up by doing live shows.
Yes, but Vince, the problem there is that Ted Turner fucking hates you. And Ted Turner's got more money than anybody could do anything with. Yeah. So it doesn't, like, if I was Ted Turner and Vince had pissed me off like that, I would have just been like, have $500K a week.
Yeah. Don't upset Ted Turner. Unless you're Jane Fonda, in which case go for it. Steve Austin has turned up in ECW. It is on this particular week in the wrestling
world. Why do we keep talking about this? Nobody. What's he done of note? What's he done of note so far?
Well, he got people talking, this nobody known as Steve Austin, doing a lampoon of Hulk Hogan.
What, in some bingo hall?
In some bingo hall called the...
Who saw that? Like 600 people and 20 people who were up at 4 a.m.?
20 people and some change.
He's got no legs. Where's he going? Get back to being a mechanic or something.
Dave Meltzer says there were more people upset than you'd think about Steve Austin in ECW mocking Hulk Hogan. I thought maybe just Hulk Hogan and then maybe Jimmy Hart.
Well, no, because if Hulk's upset, then of course, Brutai's got to be upset.
That's
Jimmy, of course,
true.
is upset. Bubba the Love Sponge somewhere let out a solitary tear like it was a littering advert. There was just a lot going on that day.
Yeah.
It's just very cruel of him to have done that.
If you ever want an example...
What's Big Terry ever done?
What have Steve Austin and Hulk Hogan ever done for the wrestling world? It's a very good question, actually. Let's move. Hey, this moves on perfectly to another wrestling legend. If you ever wanted an example that Ted Turner has too much money, WCW are after Tatanka.
Nice, yeah.
In an interview with Sports Keeda conducted
see that.
a few months back, Tatanka said Eric Bischoff planned on me being at a WCW Monday Nitro episode. I was going to be in the audience, and that's where it all began. But it had to stop there because I had to tell him I can't do anything because, one, I'm currently on contract. I'm getting ready to come off contract, but I'm on contract right now and I can't do anything. He told me I was going to be on Nitro sitting in the crowd and there was going to be an altercation, and that's where it was going to begin. So that was the plan, he says. But there was and they tried to...
It's fine. Kevin Sullivan has that covered in this episode.
It's all right. He has a great plan.
Why bring in Tatanka when you can just get the Taskmaster to do it? Can you imagine if it was just a one-spot little interrupter match? Oh my God!
it's the Indian man that we cannot name. On the WCW hotline, they actually tease that Tatanka's contract is coming to an end.
Yes.
And this prompts a nasty legal letter from WWF to WCW because obviously they've had this chat with Tatanka. Tatanka's on him under contract.
Yeah.
So they're just greasing the wheels.
It's basically just an entire. It's a game of kind of fake out, isn't it? Because it's like, well, his contract's up. Have you been talking to somebody who's under contract with us while they're under contract there? You've been breaking the rules there. And it's just sort of, I mean, WWE will be hot for that even now, I'd imagine, with that kind of stuff if it was, that important during the current war.
You'd imagine they would be. And I'm sure there'll be many stories that we'll tell about this current war.
Yes.
And that sort of thing.
I believe as well the OJ verdict was getting read on this day.
It was indeed. It was OJ. It was the day after this particular Nitro.
I was going to say because it's mentioned.
Because Monday Night Raw, actually on the Raw that we are up against for this Nitro, is dominated by a WWF fan poll. Is OJ Simpson guilty or not guilty?
And the winner of the poll, selected at random, gets a free white Ford Bronco and helicopter chase.
They need
the B-roll. They need the B-roll. They need it.
That's very true. They donated the money from the hotline for this poll, this weird poll they did to a charity for children who have been victims of abuse.
Yes.
The charity said, we didn't ask for your help with this. We don't want to be associated with your weird ass poll. And they had to apologize and give a lot of refunds.
Oh, so they were using the charity's logo and stuff and all of that on TV?
I didn't see the logo on the TV, but they named the charity on the TV without saying, can we raise money for you?
You could just say it was going to a multitude of charities that deal with X, Y, or Z. That's all they should have done if they knew it was going to be that controversial. And of course it was going to be that fucking controversial. It was a murder case.
It was such a weird decision by Vince McMahon to go, this is what's going to dominate our show. By the way, the Raw audience said O.J. Simpson was not guilty, 51%.
Well, I mean, well done. You got it right, but it definitely wasn't right.
Yes, it was a close call, or if you're into UK politics, an overwhelming majority, apparently.
Yes, and concrete grows. Concrete, you can just grow it. Have you seen that today?
I've heard about this today. So
I fucking hate our media. I fucking hate them. It's becoming literally it's like watching an episode of Brass Eye or Monkey Dust. Like life is descending into this dystopic fucking hell. To the point where, I now turn on the news sometimes on a morning, and the second I hear Richard fucking Madeley's voice, who the fuck wants to hear from him? Nobody wanted to hear from him in the 90s with his miserable wife sat next to him. Nobody wanted to hear it. And he's back. Fucking Piers Morgan, then nah. Are you for real?
That's. I mean, when Richard Madeley is the better option.
Just cancel. Just cancel the news. Roll memes. I'd fucking watch that ITV.
Just a series of GIFs on a morning instead.
Yeah, just give me some cat memes.
Channel 4 got the right idea many years ago when they just started replaying Frasier. Mm-hmm. And then when it finished, they kind of restarted it again.
Cocked it up a bit with Everybody Loves Raymond. I don't need that.
Are you not a fan of Everybody Loves Raymond?
I can watch it, but it's not Frasier.
Oh, of course it's not, but I think they had to put a little something.
When I was off school sick, look, you had 2 episodes of Frasier, it was banging, and then you'd get Everybody Loves Raymond for like an hour, and it was like, oh, I'll watch it, but I was having fun before.
But every so
I'm Ray, and it's just sort of the same thing every episode.
Deborah.
Yeah, it's like, oh no, something's happened, and then the whole joke goes on far too long, and then his brother goes, I remember when I had a job, and then looks at his feet, and then the whole canned audience goes ape shit. It's like 2.5 Men. It just, my brain is too bombarded with so many things. It's like, what?
You've pretty much described an episode of Everybody Loves Raymond.
Yeah.
Pretty spot. But sometimes on Channel 4, instead of Everybody Loves Raymond, you get King of Queens. And that was where I fell over.
I wasn't
Didn't
kind of
like King
watching
of
too much
Queens.
of that stuff around that time. I said it looked kind of all right, but then I just heard people go, that's shit. And I was like, all right, fine, I'll not watch it.
Didn't like it. But there's an idea for a TV channel. Just get rid of all your rolling news footage and just play everybody. Just play Frasier.
Just get one of your staff members absolutely bollocksed. Get them really bollocksed and just sit them down with YouTube for 3 hours on a morning. And the only rule is they've just got to keep playing stuff.
Let's end on some lighter wrestling news before we get into Nitro. Akira Hokuto and Kensuke Sasaki got married this week.
Nice.
They got married the day before this episode of Nitro. It was the biggest wrestling news in Japan this week. Major celebrities from Japan, from the world of music and film, were part of the wedding. Also, Inoki was there, of course, and Aja Kong, Bull Nakano, Muto, Hashimoto, Toyota, Great Sasuke, Jushin Liger, Hayabusa were all there for the wedding. And apparently, and this is something that Jackins told me on the Raw review, apparently there were complaints in the hotel they were staying in after the wedding because their lovemaking was so loud and constant throughout the night.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Now that can only have happened because they definitely had a secret wedding rumble, didn't they? They definitely had a secret wedding rumble, and he won, and it all went, big time. Big time.
We are in Denver for Monday Nitro this week. All the signs apparently were confiscated before people entered the building. Even like the pro WCW ones, they got rid of a lot of them. Signs, and so once they got into the building, signs were handed out by WCW as they entered.
Carny motherfuckers.
It's so carny. But this is where the fans are clever little chickens, because the fans brought magic markers with them.
Yes.
So quite a few people had written on the back.
I was wondering why the front row, there were so many signs just sort of tucked in under the mat, as if people had just gone and just lifted the mat and discarded them.
They had handwritten signs of like WCW's best.
Eric Bischoff has a massive cock.
20 of them, weirdly. But then it was so David Crockett, the part of the Crockett dynasty.
Yes,
had the job that night of just monitoring the crowd and taking away any defamatory signs. This is the world we live in.
He's just walking around. I don't like that one. That one just says Lex on it. Does that mean he's good or he's bad? Give it here.
My dad.
Get out.
Eric Bischoff, Bobby Heenan, Mongo McMichael, and of course, everybody's favourite Tarantula are on commentary this week. Slight adjustment to commentary this week, which I absolutely love the bones off. Do you know what that was?
Is it the riser and the crowd?
Yeah, we can now. So now instead of facing that weird grey wall,
we'd have
facing the crowd.
We'd have like a black curtain, wouldn't we?
Yeah,
a bit of depth there. You could tell there was a bit of depth there, and you could tell they were somewhere prominent in the arena, but it just never really felt right. And this is like one of the most iconic commentary booths. It might be my favorite commentary booth of all time.
I love it. It's just because it makes it look big.
That's it. Like they're literally right in the corner, shooting outwards, but it's packed.
And you, awesome. I thought you'll appreciate stuff like this because obviously you did stuff with WCPW and you worked and you were part of the crew that made everything look big and like the production team behind that when you could.
Yeah, when we could.
Yeah,
a lot of instances where we were in smaller venues and there was just no hope. But it's just you've got to. And I mean, a lot of the time, we were so busy we couldn't even really think about stuff like this. But it's just when you have that sort of venue of that size and you don't want to show off the audience, what you're doing. It's like WWE even have them ringside with, a ground shot so you can still see people behind. And when it's sort of like when we were doing our first promos, it was all just kind of against flat. And it was like, well, what's the point of doing it against flat?
Yeah.
It's just very meh when you see it.
You want to make it feel like the whole world is there, don't you? And it's things like this, like having that white hot crowd behind you as you're opening the show. It's like it already looks bigger than Raw.
But this is it. They've got good TV minds. They've got the set certainly getting the houses in to do something like that. So I think it's definitely up there from the visual standpoint. It's incredible. There's not been anything like it. I think that really sells the scale of a weekly show. Raw, when they moved to the stage, was quite cool, but even then it was just like, there's some neon bits behind them.
Yeah, that's it. Like they went halfway there and started put it on the stage, but then they'd start doing it where they'd shoot behind they shoot behind them.
They should have just had a double-sided desk. They should have had like a wraparound desk that they could have turned around on the spot and done stuff to camera with the arena behind them, and then when they're commentating, just flip around and there's your monitor.
That's a great idea.
Yep.
I should have done that.
It would have taken up so much space, though. The tables are like deeper than this.
They'd have been fine. Did you spot a future WWF champion in the front row, Sam Driver?
No, I didn't. There were a couple of Hulk Hogans in the front row.
There was one big lad in a big
There were
Hulk
two
Hogan
Hulk
side.
Hogans.
I feel like he was pushed to the front.
Yeah, he was on the hard cam side, and there was one on what would usually be WWE commentary side.
Well, this person was sat, I think, 3 or 4 people to the right.
Yes, I know the one you're on about, but the one on the side off camera is even better because he's wearing like a blue short sleeve work shirt. Just your standard like blue short sleeve work shirt with a Hogan shirt over with the sleeves cut off. So you just see these blue work shirt sleeves sticking out of like the ripped up Hulkamania shirt. It's the best.
Blue collar working man, brother. No, but that wasn't the champion I was insinuating.
No, okay.
A future WWF champion was in the front row. I'm, of course, talking about former WWF Women's Champion Deborah McMichael.
Really?
There's a prominent scene later on, which we'll talk about, where you see Deborah very much like in the middle of all the action.
Wow.
Deborah's there, so keep an eye on her. I'm sure she'll do great things. Ric Flair interrupts the opening spiel from our commentators, and he's screaming down Bischoff's mic that Double A, he and Double A are going to have a mile-high night. They're going to have sex in a bathroom.
Now, you've got to keep saying mile high because we are in
Denver, Colorado.
Detroit. We're in Denver, Colorado.
Colorado.
And so they're a mile in the air. They're mile high. It's Mile High City. It's mile
Mountain
high.
time.
We just got to say it every match. Just wait for it.
Find an
Brace yourself
excuse to
for it.
say how. But then it's like, I like how at this point they're still using like those buzzwords to make somewhere they're at sound big. Like how like they used to do when they did SummerSlam 93. And it was always from the heartland of America.
It's
from somewhere shit.
You know,
Sorry
I think
if you
it's
live there.
important to put the strengths of the area. It looks like you care about where you are. Mm-hmm. The fact you're going to the lengths to call it the city's nickname, to address what's been happening, and congratulate, I think, the baseball team on winning a game, or wish them luck on a game that's coming up. I think Bischoff does later on. Like it just feels like, well, we give a fuck about Denver. We want to be in Denver. Denver's cool. That's why we're here, because Denver's cool. And WCW is good at making even the smallest places that might not have so much going for them, might not have, a very famous nickname or like a lot of big sports teams or whatever. They're still able to get it across by just leaning on some of the strengths. That's when they'll pull out, the Heartland of America stuff, WWE style kind of. As we're hearing now, you can't say Raleigh, North Carolina, because it's just not big time enough. It's like, just make Raleigh sound cooler. That's all you got to do. And if there's nothing there, just be like, well, Carolina, what's it known for? Just address the things North Carolina.
I'm nervous in the event that, because the story that we've put out today, some of the stories we've got to put out today, is regarding WWF schedule for next year. And there is September. It's looking very likely that the WWE are going to put on a UK pay-per-view in 2022, which is
Cardiff, London.
Cardiff, and that's why I'm nervous, because I'm hoping that they can distinguish the difference between England and Wales.
I would pay to watch the entire scene burn down if they were to say Cardiff, England. Because at that point, go for it, Wales. Go for it. Let them have it.
I think someone's going to say it. Hello, Cardiff, England.
Where?
All right, governor.
Was it Manchester? That's just a short, half-hour drive up from London or something.
Newcastle, that quaint little mining town.
Yeah.
I feel like somebody is going to go, hey, here we are in Wales. Jolly old Wales. All right, governor.
Spotted tea, crumpets.
Spotted tea and crumpets.
And strangely, they get Tom Jones right, but that's the only thing. But Tom Jones out to sing the anthems.
If you get Tom Jones out or the Stereophonics, then the rest is your world to play in. We get a recap of the Lex Luger.
Let me just say, if they don't have the Mannix there, they're fucking idiots.
Oh yeah, get the Mannix.
You can have the Mannix there to just do something. Oh my god.
There you go. Oh, that would be a nice little touch.
Yeah, because then you got your halftime entertainment slot that isn't shitball. You could have the Mannix. Get them out there. Get them to play faster. Do it.
You said Mannix.
Just play the Holy Bible in full. Play the Holy Bible in full. And that'll take up like a tenth of the show runtime. You'd be all right,
Breaking news: they couldn't get Mannix. They've got Poppy, so that's good.
be here with her cover of A Design for Life.
Oh my God!
It's just static with her going, I'm really weird, guys.
I'm kooky. We get a recap of Lex Luger, Randy Savage, and the Dungeon of Doom debacles from last week. Before we get the first of our two main events, main event out the block, Lex Luger versus Randy Macho Man Savage. So
now they've been talking about Mile High and all this stuff for so long that it just did something to me. So I am judging this event based purely off its sexiness, Tom. Because ultimately, as you're going to learn if you're going to watch this after hearing this, or you've watched it beforehand, as you know, it's a pretty fucking boring Nitro. It's not boring, it's just inconsequential. It's like one of the fucking spots is an entire, we've seen that play out 3 times now. There's a whole... Oh, my... We'll get on to
I'm really excited to see the Sound Driver sexometer for Monday Nitro this week.
It's rated out of Spanx.
Brill.
So, out of 10 Spanx. But I've got my notes here. A very sexy opening main event indeed. Mm-hmm. They're all over each other initially. They should get a room. They're like hugging and rolling around, and then something's getting snapped into as Big Randy Anderson is really trying to pull these beefy boys apart. And then we get an ad break with the man becomes the monster becomes the man. Do you notice how long he holds that second man?
He's doing it as if he's going for a world record.
Yeah, it's like man, as if he's trying to pull himself away from the mic to simulate echo.
Okay, I like it. Well, give us some more sexy notes.
So we've got Luger's showboating a bit more. Just as a general note, he's a powerful guy. We've not really seen him do much of this, but we have him kind of lifting and military pressing Savage. You're starting to see the arrogant Luger come back out a little bit, and oh my God, so chiseled. There's a whole period where they're doing back hugs.
Yes.
And then Lex cheats to make his hug more huggy and uses the ropes. And Randy has no hope of his back hug out doing that. But unfortunately, Lex is forced to stop. And then the ref is in formal-ish trainers. I don't know why that popped me, but it did.
As opposed to red shoes, just crap shoes.
Randy Bo Bandy then grabs Lex's underpants and throws him to the outside, which he literally
just his underpants.
Just yanks him out by the string of his pants, just straight out of the ring.
Get gone.
Then there's a ref bump, flying elbow smash. Randy gets at least a count of 48 until Giant then comes out and he gets in on the steamy, dreamy action. Giant choke slams Randers, which I listed as kinky. Luger goes into the torture rack again, a bit kinky. Luger wins, erotic. And then we get a note here from commentary that says the Giant isn't here to eat popcorn, and I gave this 6 out of 10 Spanx.
Oh, wow. This is an amazing grading system. I'm down for this. Why 6? It was good, but not great.
There was a lot of muscle
fully
on
spanky.
display, but I don't think it's worth more than 6 Spanx.
That's a fair shout.
We had a bit of excitement, a lot of hugging.
A lot of hugging.
No, in fairness, though, it was very sort of tight off the get-go, wasn't it? Because you had both guys burst out of the gate, immediately locked up, and then they were really doing well to sell that kind of anger between them. Randy Anderson having to proper try and pry them apart. Well, Randy and Randy.
Two Randys.
Two Randys do make a Randy match.
Does that not add to the spankometer?
That was taken into account.
Okay,
that's
fine.
I wouldn't say it was, if you took Randy Anderson out of there, you're probably looking at a 4.5.
Less Randy.
But then, talking about semantics, what's half a spank, So it's... you have that kind of blood feud feel going on as it builds, and especially they're kind of trying to do a bit more chain wrestling. They're trying to do a bit more reversal, so it's more like these guys are equal. On equal footing, who's going to win, and then Luger, you start to see the elements of the heeliness come out, the showboating, the military press, the torture rack, the using the ropes. Luger's, they replayed that same fucking promo again where he comes out and, from 2 weeks ago and has no emotion until Randy gently slaps him, and then he kind of goes...
He wakes
up
looks
a bit shocked before they cut away, but it's building towards something, and at least it's moving in a direction rather than what it's been doing for the last 3 weeks, which is sitting.
Yeah. A nice little dig from Bischoff on commentary during this when he tells us to listen to Mike Tenay on the WCW hotline to find out what's happening on Raw. That way you don't have to change the channel.
Yeah, you just ring up.
Yeah.
Just call up while the ad breaks on, and there you go. You get everything you wanted, everything you've ever dreamed of. And then next up, we're going to go to an Eddie Guerrero versus Dean Malenko. No, we're not, because out comes Greg or Garth or Graham or whatever he's called.
Disco.
Disco for
Glenn.
a bit of a dance.
Big Glenn Gilberti.
Yeah, so he, we were all like proper, excited after that. He's just thrown a massive bucket of cold water on that.
But I think that's what they're going for. The more I think about it.
They really want to, they want to have him just come out and stand in front of Eddie Guerrero, and Eddie doesn't even get to hit him with a chair.
Well,
and kick him
that's
off
it, because Eddie just sort of shoos him off stage, as opposed to doing a battering.
This is actually all building to something, because Inferno does this a lot as Nitro goes on. Ultimately, he's going to do it for Goldberg, and Goldberg is going to. I can't wait. Goldberg is going to murder him over and over. Those are some of the finest childhood memories I have.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, how can I stay excited after that opener? If it's like we're going to a Dean Malenko versus Eddie Guerrero, and out comes Disco Inferno.
It blue ball you a little bit getting Disco in there.
He's the antithesis of erotic wrestling action, the action that WCW promised me heading into this event. So this gets minus 10 out of 10 spots.
Oh, no! All the way down is that
He's never
bonk
going to hold
on.
a world title. Why are you throwing him out there after Randy Savage?
Eddie and Malenko on Nitro,
Don't worry,
though.
these two guys get the respect they're definitely due in this
Well,
match.
they do from you, but they don't from the live crowd.
They don't from fucking commentary.
Or from
They don't get it from
commentary.
anybody. They go out there and they wrestle like absolute beasts. And oh my God. But yes, so the match kicks off after Disco's shooed out of the way. The match kicks off, and then we are immediately told by Eric Bischoff, as they're going through a very exciting opening exchange, very athletic opening display. We have Eric Bischoff telling us that, just don't fucking worry about this. I know you don't give a shit about it. His limo's going to be here in 3 minutes, though. So we'll hear from Hogan soon. Here's a bit more chain wrestling. Eddie and Malenko again just go fucking hell for leather.
Great match.
Dives to the outside, a massive splash to the floor. All this, but no, Hogan's here, so get your cocks out. He's got a neck brace on. He is here for a hunt, and he wants to go on a big sweaty search for the giant. And then we get that huge splash to the floor. Bobby clarifies this is Monday Nitro and not Acapulco.
Because I was worried.
Well, it was getting a bit loco there.
We did
need it, but again, we for fuck's sake, we did go back to the ring for a little bit more in-ring action after that splash. But then, fuck it, let's go see Hogan again.
Yeah,
take it home, guys. So there's a very quick finish, and then we. That's kind of it. But after the match, they shake hands. So they've promised another match between them, and it's like, well, it's not all just hatred and anger. It's sportsmanship, and Bobby gets that across really well.
Because Dean went for the ankle pick, and Eddie turned it into a pinning combo, and Dean was like, "You got lucky, I can beat you." And then Eddie's like, "Hey, anytime, anywhere, we'll go again."
He's proper, just like anytime, and just like shaking each other's hands.
It's a cruiserweight division match.
Yeah,
and I love that they're and like away from the noise of like, oh, here comes Hogan and his stupid neck brace. Like away from all that noise, like it's a cruiserweight division where it's not just about it's a match for the title, it's a match for the title, it's a match for the, like these are like rankings and divisions and stuff. And I feel like the art of a division is lost. With the exception of like the power rankings that AEW
I think the
does.
reason that cruiserweight scene worked well so initially was that Bischoff was just intent for it to be just go out there and excite people.
Yeah,
and it feels like he just kind of left them alone. Obviously, there was some booking involved and overall story planning, but it's just kind of like, well, what do you want us to do? Excite people. Yeah. Let's just get out there, and the talent kind of left to their own devices, it feels. And they go out, and gradually they are going to win that audience over. But this audience has been, burnt out on big comic book wrestling for the last 20 years. So
is this by this point Guerrero and Malenko had their ECW series, hadn't they? So this is them jumping over.
It's for a fresh audience, basically.
Yeah, there's a selection of the audience though that was probably quite excited by the prospect of, hey, this is the match for an ECW. It's on the big screen whilst Hogan is arriving.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Is just disregard that match. Because Hogan's here.
Hogan's here. That's all that matters. If Hogan's not on the screen,
talk about Hogan for the entire. That's it. It's like, oh, he's going to be here in 3 minutes. Nobody knows. Nobody cares. Like, you've already said he's going to be here. You can be like, oh, Hulk Hogan's arriving backstage now after the bell. But because it was like, oh, we're going to go back to see Hogan, and then immediate like pin. It was like, oh.
But this is the spoils of war, not the spoils of war. This is the result of war, isn't it? Because they are. You can tell by the pace and the urgency in Bischoff's voice. They don't want anyone to change the channel at any point. They don't want to give them any reason.
It's exciting. I mean, they even lie to you at the end of the show every week.
Oh yeah,
they always lie to you at the end of the show, like they do it in this one, and we'll get there in a bit. But they kind of always tease you. They go, we're going to go and make sure we've got to check up on this guy coming back after the break. And then it's like, here's what's next week.
Yeah.
There is no update. There's no, you're hooked into that very last little 30 seconds of show. Everything is just designed to keep you there.
They always lie to you.
But yeah, this would have got like a 4 out of 10 because they're just not meaty enough, are they?
No,
so
not enough.
The appearance of Hogan and the mention of Hogan brought it up to a solid 8. I can, 8 out of 10 spanks.
This is I'm enjoying the yin and the yang that is going on.
If I'm looking at pure wrestling ability, 11 out of 10.
But we're looking
we're looking at pure wrestle sexiness. Then it's a 4, and then Hogan is mentioned, and it's an 8.
Fair. And then Hogan arrives.
Hogan actually bullies them off screen in their own match. Hey, there you go.
Some pushiness.
That's some political power. That is.
Hogan out for a chat with Mean Gene, and I've put in his silly neck brace.
Yes. So this is what we've been waiting for. Oily hot dog handbag skin, I've written. 24 inches, as we know, plus 12, as we also know, because, the court case.
Does Jason Pittman get a mention in your sexy review?
No.
Can I quickly pull up, because I'll say this, then I want to hear the sexy review.
Right.
But he says, Hogan's out, and he says, last night he was hanging out with a little Hulkamaniac named Jason Pittman.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Who was getting a double lung transplant. Jason apparently said to Hogan, Jason said to me, belly up to the bar, look him in the eye, and take the giant down, brother. Right, did he bollocks say that to you, Hogan? The poor lad's having a double lung transplant. I doubt he said anything.
Hey, Hogan's so skilled, he was probably the surgeon.
This young man, this young boy who's fighting for his life, turned to Hogan and said, belly up to the bar. Fucking hell, Hogan. Plus, why are you hanging out with kids, you weirdo? That's anyway, sexy review.
My concern here stems from the fact that Hulk Hogan comes out to American made, but he's got a neck brace on, which means he clearly can't be American. He probably also wears masks in public. Shame. Where's his pride?
No pride in that man.
Oh, God. Yeah, he goes into busy places with a mask on to protect himself.
I can't.
How dare he? How dare he? I bet that neck brace, if you took that off, it wouldn't do anything.
I think his neck's fine. I think the government made him wear a neck brace.
No, so
wake up, sheeple!
Yeah, that's it, sheeple. The government's forcing us all to wear neck braces
with broken necks. You don't need a broken. Basically, if you have a broken neck, just wobble your neck around.
If you
it's
fling
fine.
it as hard as you can in a circle, like you're in Cannibal Corpse. You'd be great. So the giant isn't here. This is the thing with Hogan. Hogan's going off. He wants the giant. He wants the giant. He wants the giant. Since the giant's not here, brother, off comes the shirt. Wow. No, he says that he's going to go on a hunt. He's going to go hunt the giant if the giant's too scared to come to the ring.
And he heads to the back to find the giant. He walks past Deborah McMichael, future WWF Women's Champion.
And then, can I explain it eloquently?
Please do.
As Hulkster walks up the ramp, like just crowds of people mobbing toward him, all just touching him. They want to touch the immortal Hulk Hogan. There's just a big white explosion all over his face. Just a big white explosion all over his face. It's very sensual. And it turns out this old woman has just launched a load of powder in Hogan's eyes. Now, what's he going to do, brother, when Powder Mania is running wild on him? What's he going to do? So out comes the giant and brother Yes No to help Granny. And they're beating Hogan down. Giant thankfully removes the neck brace to free Hogan from his mind control 5G nonsense. But then he chooses to, instead of helping him, he's like, see, look, he's fine. Like, everybody thinks he was going to break his neck. It's like, no, see? Just tears away at the neck. Hogan seems absolutely grand. He's just rolling around on the floor. And then Granny, unfortunately, whaps out a razor and starts shaving off the iconic tash. And this is where commentaries like this is going too far.
Yeah.
Going far too far.
Shaving off Hogan's mustache.
I'm just sat there saying, take it all off. I want to see that naked upper lip. I want to see it, Eric. No, but they shave off his mustache, and then Brother Brutai is handed a set of scissors, which is obviously ironic because I used to be the barber.
See what you
and he
did
stood there
there.
going like, yeah, no, yeah, no, yeah, no, yeah, no. And then Sullivan eventually just takes the scissors off him, and we had Chekhov's scissors. I think Sullivan cut a little bit. Sorry, Granny. I think Granny cut a little bit of Hogan's hair, but mainly the tash is gone, and now Terry's got a chilly little lip, and he's got nothing that can give you a little push room tickle.
I can imagine something happened here that made this section incredibly sexy.
Yeah, so Hogan's obviously getting beaten down.
Hogan's knackered.
Hogan is getting absolutely worked over here.
Who
It's
saved
just a
him?
sweaty mess, and then out comes the American males.
The American males! Who can save Hogan in their time of need?
It's the strippers.
Fucking American. What is it with WCW? And when a babyface is in peril, only the shit people go out to help. Have you noticed this?
Because
pattern?
they're underdog baby faces. They want to get up there. They want to help Hulkster. They believe in him. He's carrying that company and making sure they get paid, brother. They are sycophants. Which, given what we know about how Buff Bagwell's later WCW run goes, literally emulating another wrestler,
Yes.
it's all going to tie up into a nice storyline 5 years in the making. Don't worry about it. But yeah, they get in there. They immediately get done in by the Giant. I think fucking, what do you call him? Fucking
one?
other American male.
Scotty Riggs.
Scotty Riggs. Jesus,
Our
my
mate,
brain.
Scotty Riggs.
Scotty Riggs gets choke slammed from like the highest point I think I've ever
Amazing.
seen. Giant just picks him up and then he curls around his hand like a little ball. And he's just like, boo! And then Bagwell gets it as well, absolutely planted. And it's like, no, who's going to save Hogan? And then out come the fucking nasty boys. Or at least out comes Knobs.
No, they're both out there.
No, out comes Knobs.
Oh, yeah.
And then...
Because I'm sure Sags
And then-
gets into it with the Zodiac.
And then there's Sags. Yeah, there he is.
he's just a bit
He's
behind.
he's just going to rock up and lay in a couple of strikes. Literally takes like 11 years. I think he might arrive and go immediately to fight on the outside, but the
Yeah.
camera's locked firmly on the ring, so it's like, it's the Nasty Boys, and out they come, and it's just Knobs. Oh, there he is.
Hello, friend.
Fucking hell.
Top marks in this section for Mean Gene Okerlund.
So yeah, Brutus then gets the scissors, after the Nasty Boys.
go on.
And then the trainer, after it all devolves down and everything's like, all right. And then, Dungeon of Doom walk off. The trainer then jumps in the ring with Hogan and we get a bit of extra skin because the trainer's got a massive hole in the side of his shirt.
He did!
Yeah, a
He
massive
did!
hole. So I thought we were doomed, but he saved it with the shirt rip. The trainer's armpit and Hogan's new nude upper lip were just the icing on the cake.
a
This
lot of
gets
sections.
11 out of 10 spanks.
Wow, it's the spankiest section on Nitro.
It's the meatiest section on Nitro. We have the American males out there.
American males, a naked lip.
They're just strippers, aren't they? That's
They
basically
are.
what, they look like strippers. I'm not insinuating they are. They're wrestlers, clearly. Maybe they're wrestly strippers. But they came out to save the day, and you can't say they're not sexy. Look at them.
It's true, actually. My boring non-sexy notes on this. Top marks to Mean Gene Okerlund for this, who has a line, and it's the way he delivers it. As the old woman, aka Kevin Sullivan, the Taskmaster,
Yeah.
dressed as an old woman, complete with like little
Proper
glasses.
fucking like Red Riding Hood, cartoon level, like proper hunched over and everything. And
as Sullivan's beating up Hogan dressed as a woman, there's Gene going, "There's a woman with a cane." It's the way he says it. There's a woman, like he's never seen one before. Hogan, now the mustache shave, like the unthinkable shaving of Hogan's mustache, this serves a double purpose. It's getting heat for the Taskmaster and the Giant, the Dungeon of Doom. Also, Hogan's off to do a movie.
yeah, so fuck you, fuck your booking, shave my tash.
Shave my tash, do it, we'll make it part of a thing,
Yeah.
and that's what we do. And Sullivan playing a woman with a cane is actually an homage to a championship wrestling for Florida angle from the 70s, in which Blackjack Mulligan, dressed as an old woman with a cane, sat in the crowd and attacked Kevin Sullivan.
That's perfect, because I remembered that definitely when I saw this for the first time.
If
How
anything,
could I forget? I was eating what did they have back in the day? Was it just cornflakes? I was eating my
I
cornflakes
was
with
eating
water.
my arsenic.
I was eating my cornflakes with water because milk hadn't been invented yet. I was like, God damn, what a callback. What a callback.
I was enjoying a Winston cigarette and asbestos.
I had to properly bang the telly because the tube was broken on it. And,
I had to really turn the volume up for the sound of the mines behind us. But this was, so I think that was more like, sometimes, admittedly, and a part of me would be like, oh, what's the point in that? But sometimes, admittedly, in a news video here or there, I took in a little gag for myself.
Yeah.
I took in a little something just to pop me, and then if someone else gets it, then, that's fun. That's a nice day for everybody. So I appreciate that on a slightly different level. But yeah, so off to the races. Halloween Havoc round the corner. Hogan with a naked upper lip. Will that lower his?
It's going to lower his morale. I mean,
That's
how
it,
can it
innit?
not? His lips out there for the whole world to see. You can see how big it is.
He's gonna. He's
Or how small. Rather.
He is so desperately seeking some babyface sympathy.
I think that Hogan's just going to do away with all his happiness. I think this is it. I think the yellow and red. I think those days are numbered. Some people will call me crazy, but
I'm not the only one.
Yeah, I think that Hogan's just gonna, get all sad and just wear all black, shiny bike short material. Not for NWO or anything. Just just to wear some spandex.
Would that help with the sexiness?
Not really.
Oh,
no. See enough spandex, don't we? Now if it's skin tight, bulgy spandex, which
maybe there's something in the skin tight bulginess that's making it bulge. Maybe a gun.
The shift, the shift in Hogan here is fucking brilliant because it's like, I'm Hulk Hogan, yeah, power of positivity type person, all this stuff. He's America. You can't beat him. You can't keep him down. They shave off his tash and he goes all emo and sad and wears black for like 2 weeks, and then it's back. The mustache is back, and it's.
Dark Hulk Hogan. I'm not against the idea. Like I like very brave of Hogan, who was so against the idea of being anything other than red and yellow. But he could see
mustache, horseshoe hair. That is iconic. Like if you could literally draw just a simple face with that mustache, like a simple stick figure face with that mustache, and most people will go Hulk Hogan.
Hulk Hogan.
So it's like. Had it not been for a movie, I think the answer would have been a resounding no. Yeah. But if he's getting money out the arse, and at this point he was really wanting to try and continue that film career that hadn't quite taken off in the way he thought it was going to. He never really translated that well to screen. He never translated that well to film. I think around this time it might be when he's trying to get more into TV than film itself. But he was still doing a couple here and there. But it's sort of. It's strange that Hogan didn't translate so well because he is in some good films. Like he's in Rocky 3.
Yeah.
Like he did have that star power to pull people over. It's just that he obviously couldn't find the right agent or the right role, or he just wasn't really up to snuff with his acting chops.
Yeah, I mean, because a lot of people draw comparisons with him and The Rock, and how The Rock just transcended both industries.
Yeah.
To where he is now, just like this megastar. And I think that was always what Hogan wanted. Mm-hmm. But Hogan, I think with movies, it never quite landed.
There were a lot of self-promoted films as well. Like you had No Holds Barred, which is it's all well and good, but in that film he's playing a wrestler, and he plays a wrestler in real life, so he's good at that. He's good at playing a wrestler. But when you've got to kind of make him a suburban commando type character, or you've got to make him Santa with muscles, it doesn't quite translate as well, because you have all the visual slapstick of he's so muscly and big, but once you run out of that, it's like, what's left?
So do you think it's like an acting chops thing then? Because again, there's not to look at it, it's not much in the way of difference in what The Rock brought and what Hogan brought.
No, it's just The Rock was, I feel he had better luck with casting. The fact his first film was The Mummy Returns. The Mummy was one of the biggest films of the late 90s. And we've got a featured role there that he didn't really have to do much in, and then he's in the Scorpion King flashback sequence, obviously, and you kind of have, he was almost drip fed in,
whereas
then
Hogan he was immediately
he did languish through some Disney films, Tooth Fairy, things like that. It's not quite where he wanted to be, but he persevered, and he put wrestling on the back burner for a long time to do that. But Hogan was always 1 foot in, 1 foot out, wasn't he?
He was trying to be a bit of everything.
That, and I imagine he was wanting 9 times the amount of money he was worth.
Oh, yeah, and I can imagine he was an arse.
Because in one industry, you're worth a hell of a lot of money. In the other industry, you're Hulk Hogan, but you're not worth as much as, a major actor.
Yeah.
It's just not, it doesn't translate.
I think it must be an attitude thing as well, because I remember reading a story about the Baywatch episode, Bash at the Beach, and how David Hasselhoff just wanted nothing to do with Hogan, and vice versa.
Yeah, well,
but I can imagine that David Hasselhoff would want to hang out with The Rock.
Yeah, it seems like at the time Hasselhoff and Hogan might have been more similar than they would admit, because Hasselhoff was a big deal TV star at the time, and the star was beginning to wane. I'd argue it was after Baywatch that Hasselhoff kind of goes down and out. He's not really featured in anything major after that, is he?
But it's interesting that you say that, like, and that's working over in my mind palace.
But it's like they're the same person in two different industries.
Yeah.
They're fearful for their spot. They want to make sure that they're getting the most out of any extracurricular activity they're doing in terms of like TV or film appearances. But at the same time, they can't really turn down the sure thing money, especially if you're Hogan. You can't turn down that money.
No.
Yeah.
Well, you can because you're making loads, but you choose not to.
Yeah, but that's, it's never worse to have more money, is it? And if you can get guaranteed contract wrestling, you can just act on the side.
Is there something in what you said there about like how Dwayne Johnson was drip fed? Because like I remember like Rock doing like bit roles in stuff. He was a Romulan wrestler in Star Trek and stuff like that. And I can't picture Hogan. Like everything Hogan did, it was like Hulk Hogan, stars in the middle. He's in the middle. He's in the middle. Thunder in Paradise. He is the star of it. Is it because Hogan wouldn't lower himself to doing bit parts that didn't put him over?
It's because Hogan has no like humility about him. He isn't a humble person. Like everything you've just said there, right? The Rock started off bit parts in things, and then eventually got a bit part in a major film, and then started doing maybe like bit shitter films and films aimed more at kids. But the bit parts he was getting and everything allowed him to be on set and around people who were acting. It allowed him access to people who act, and their kids watched wrestling and liked it, so they're going to talk to him. And so there's going to be this kind of rapport that if you're a nice enough person, you can build with these people. And film sets are very communal, and everybody kind of sits down together to eat every day. It's never really sections just don't talk to each other. It's never quite like that. It's always just sort of everybody's there for one purpose, and that's to make the film. So everybody's kind of in a more open and creative mood. And so if you are prepared to look foolish in trying to do something, and I want to be a more serious actor, okay, well, go and talk to this actor and ask them about it. How can I improve? What was I doing wrong? Kind of like they would after a wrestling match, right? When you take Hogan, everything was built around him. It's like Hulk Hogan in No Holds Barred, Hulk Hogan in Rocky 3, Hulk Hogan in, and it's not that Rocky 3 was built around him, but Hogan in Rocky 3 at the time maybe was the only crossover that kind of worked, because he was a huge deal star. Yes. Kind of on the rise, wasn't he? And then you had Rocky 3, and it's that kind of work, but everything else was built around him. And so Hogan's been handed things. Rock went away, left wrestling, worked, and committed to acting, and committed to getting better, and getting range, and getting depth. Hogan just wants to turn up, shoot a couple of guns like he's like Jesse Ventura in Predator, take $5 million home, sit, smoke some cigars on like Sunday off, and then go wrestle and get paid, $100,000 to go job out Sergeant Slaughter. Like Hogan just wants things given, it feels. Yeah. Whereas Rock went away and was prepared to go back to having nothing and starting all over again in a new industry, learning how to act, learning how to talk, doing all this stuff that maybe he thought he knew, but he needed to refine for performance. Because one thing is acting to a crowd, you've got to be a little bit more animated. Acting for screen, if you're a stage performer who hasn't really done a lot of screen, you can see, because the reactions are so big that people 5,000 miles away are going to see it. Whereas screen acting is more nuanced. You need to really draw into personal emotion. It needs to be more believable. You can't be like, if you told me my dog had died and I start rolling around the floor and screaming and, doing backflips and pulling out my hair and tearing my shirt open and screaming my dog's name at the back of the room at some indeterminate point, just staring off. That you've got to learn how to kind of take the news as you would in real life, which is just like a gutting punch, and it's like, well, okay, and then everything comes after that. Nice. But
I like the idea of you doing a backflip and ripping your shirt at the mention of you. No, my dog. It's a great idea. Friendship Gone Bad, Ric Flair and Arn Anderson is our main event of the evening. How sexy was this for you, sir?
Well, I'll get to the rating in a bit, but Arn Anderson gets the jobber's entrance.
He does, doesn't he?
Yeah, it's like, already in the ring is Arn Anderson, and you can hear the opening pause of blah, 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 Ric Flair.
Why did Arn get the jobber entrance?
Because we're running low on time, folks. That's all we got time for. You know, it's that. You just gotta. The show's gonna go on, so you gotta hope those adverts end fucking quickly.
Yeah.
And you gotta hope you're not in the kitchen still making your cup of coffee.
That's it. It's
You gotta
giving you that impression
here.
of you've got to be here all the time.
So
because
you missed
you'll
him
miss
coming
stuff.
out. You should come to the live show. You'll get to see him come out.
You get to watch Arn Anderson walk to the ring.
Also, it has the handy thing of like, fuck, just get him out now. Save us those 30 seconds. We're going to lie to them at the end.
Yeah, that's it. Allows for more lying time.
Yeah.
I like it. Flair dominates Arn in the early going of this one, whilst we hear about medics tending to Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
If he's not on the screen, people should be asking, where's Hogan?
It is very, very poochy.
He is the Poochie. They screwed the Poochie on this one.
It is properly like, Arn just like tossing Rick all over the shop, out of the ring, everywhere, and then he starts really grinding them into that mat. And then, it is just like, fuck these guys, Hogan's backstage still. And then they go again, yeah.
They go. They do. I was going to say, Arn turns the tide after Flair starts hot. Backdrop, beauty of a spine buster.
Doesn't matter. The OJ Simpson trial.
Yeah.
Yep.
What was this?
Fuck the wrestling. We're talking about that.
I missed this on commentary. You have to talk me through this.
That's all that happens. It's like OJ Simpson trial while there's like wrestling.
So
going
they talk.
on.
So
they just don't call anything.
They do talk about it a lot.
They just address. I know it's huge news. I get it.
Yeah.
But you've just literally gone. Disregard this shit. Hogan's backstage, and we're gonna have an update on him. We're gonna have an update on him. Big backdrop, and so about that OJ Simpson verdict, guys. And it's like, why are we side talking about shit when you've been building to this for weeks? And you know how it's going to end. The people in the arena don't. The people at home don't. It's
that burning desire to always feel like you're on the pulse, that you're in the zeitgeist.
Yeah. But then they go back and they wrestle some more. They call some more moves, and then Hogan's still not in good shape. Hogan's still not in good shape, but he's immortal. He'll be back to flexing his hot dogs in no time. And then they get back to wrestling again.
Lovely spot where Flair counters a DDT, holding onto the ropes, which I thought was quite nice.
Yeah.
Follows up with a figure four, and it looks as if Arn Anderson is he's holding on. And then here's Brian Pillman climbing up to the top rope.
Out comes Pillman.
So
it's like they disregarded the whole match.
Yeah.
And as if it's just like, it's not going to end how you think it's going to end anyway. Let's just talk about this. And then Pillman comes out, and it's like, okay, Pillman gets involved. Flair wins by DQ. But there was such a disconnect, man.
Yeah.
They've been for weeks. They've been building to this.
Did they know
Did
they know the OJ verdict was coming down that day?
They've been going like. I think it was, as you said, I think it was the night before. But they've been building this. I think they even mentioned it in the build up to the match, like on this episode. It was like, we're rerunning this from like the people have been waiting from the pay-per-view and all this, and it's like, okay, so exciting big fight feel. Arn's already in the ring, so we're wasting no time. Flair's already halfway down the ramp when we come back, wasting no time. Pillman comes out, okay, interesting, dragging on a bit longer, but it was just so many things.
You built up to this being such a big deal, and then you're just talking all over it.
You talk all the way through it, and then it ends with an intrusion. It's like, okay, well, you guys, it felt like you guys know that.
And it was a weird finish because, like, Flair technically won.
Yeah.
Because Arn tapped out before Brian came off the top rope.
Yes.
And I don't understand. There was a weird choice to do that. Like, could you not have had Brian just hit the splash in the DQ?
No, see, the one thing you're going to learn is that WCW loves doing weird, confusing little endings like this.
Right.
So you'll get, moments where it's like, well, you tapped out. No, he didn't. Brian got the DQ. And it'll just be, okay. So it'll fill like 2 Nitros worth of promos. Like, this probably won't, but there are instances where you get those kind of like screwy finishes. And then it's like, no, this happened. No, I won. Let's run the match again at Slamboree.
Well, they run the match sooner than Slamboree. So Pillman and Arn batter Flair as commentators are now paying attention to the feud, saying how Ric Flair's got no mates left. And they run that rhetoric. As Anderson and Pillman leave Flair in a heap, we go to our last break. Cool.
Yeah, before we go to the last break, though, Bobby has some haunting words for us.
Okay.
I thought it important to just sort of put out there now as we're still in 1995 with everything we know that's going to come. The way things are happening here in WCW right now, no one cares to pin anybody. No one cares to make anybody give up. Everybody just wants to send somebody to the hospital. And it's just sort of like, it does reach a point where it's like, I'm a tough guy. Okay? And then you get a Screwy Russo finish. And it's like, oh.
It's so many.
Don't worry about it, you marks. It's not real. Really? Well, I kind of knew that anyway, but now I feel stupid.
I don't know.
This,
sometimes what wrestling bookers think we like as fans. Like, do they think, they just like to see the entrances and watch a flippy move and nothing else? Like I like when stories are told through wins and losses.
This is like
I think it's powerful.
I don't even think wins and losses are grossly overall massively important to a story. I think if you've got a good enough story, you can get it over however you want. But wins and losses should be accounted for, and they certainly were slightly more back in the day, and they are now on one side of the fence at least. But yeah, it's sort of, the booking's quite frenetic because it's just kind of car crash, what's popular and what are people into, and we get that. It'll settle into more of a rhythm, and then it gets good. And it's sort of like, okay, they've sort of hit their stride here, but then they kind of trip a little bit, and we all know what happens next.
After the final ad break, it's revealed that Nick Bockwinkel has signed for Ric Flair versus Arn Anderson next week in a steel cage.
Steel cage. And is it escape only, or is it escape and pin?
They don't say.
Well, it better be escape only, because I'm sick. I hate cage matches with doors. With door escapes.
They don't need doors, do they?
No, I hate door escapes. Hate door escapes with a burning passion.
I hate door escapes. She was a right bitch in my school.
I hate pins and I hate submissions. It's a cage match. If you want to win, climb out the fucking thing.
But even the concept of the cage match, without getting too meta,
the
idea of a cage match being, I hate you so much, I'm going to run away from you.
But this is it. Yeah, so it's like, you can't... You have to escape. You have to run away in order to win the match. But you're not running away. You've beaten this person to a pulp. That's how I always felt.
You beat them so bad they can't get up.
You beat them so bad they can't get up, and then you casually stroll out of that thing. You climb out of it as slow as you want. You can even do what everybody does throughout the night: is get halfway up and go, nah, and either go back down or flip off the top. Like, not we're going to see Flair or Arn do any of that, but I'm a big fan of the escape stip in a cage.
From The Observer, the Flair Anderson 2-week television program was a deal that they came up with in panic after the ratings came in for the 25th of September Nitro. Both WWF and WCW, only 1 month into the war, in bunny rabbit ears, have already gone to doing cage matches on free television, and both have quickly changed titles on Monday as well. I knew they'd hot shot, but didn't realize both would do it so quickly, because on Raw this week they announced a cage match between Bret Hart and Isaac Yankem.
Nice.
But not as we know it. But the cage match is set for next week, because already... And it echoes what we said earlier. This frantic energy from Bischoff to stop people from doing anything other than staring straight ahead. He is the equivalent of, when if you've got a nephew that goes, "Watch my dance." Watch my dance, and then you look away to the left to see something.
Just for a split second. Yeah.
He didn't see all the dance. Now I have to start again.
Yeah.
It's that. That's what Bischoff is at the moment in Nitro. Watch my dance, quick! You're not looking enough.
It's interesting though, the things Dave's talking about there, where it's like, on free TV, they're doing a cage match already on free TV.
Free TV.
If you knew what you're going to know in 3 years' time about how hot-shotty the industry is and how frenetic it's about to get, how would he even respond as Dave from this 1995 year in 1999? When it's just, titles are switching 2 times on an episode, and we're just going to do a soft reboot, finger poke of doom. And it's like things very rapidly get to a point where it's like, fuck, sweet, we're getting cage matches on TV, we're getting no holds barred matches on TV.
Yeah, we win as fans.
We win as fans because WWF's having to go, shit, okay, we'll do this, we'll do that, we'll do this, we'll do that. And we get more exciting booking because of it, and they have to create more and more stips because, well, shit, the thing we'd give away on pay-per-view, we've given away for free. So we need to make it a cage match, but it needs to be more extreme. And then we get things like Hell in a Cell, and we get everything from the back of that. But this is just a straight race to the bottom, because ultimately it ends with just, attention span needs to just be like that.
Yeah. Next week on Nitro, Bubba Rogers versus Road Warrior Hawk. We're getting Sabu versus newcomer Mr. JL.
Nice.
And I thought you'd be excited for this. Sting versus Shark. John Tenter's in the house next
John
week.
Tenter better fucking murder him.
Could you imagine?
Just-
what a great day.
Just absolutely bodies Sting, pins him 1, 2, 3. They immediately award him all the gold. All of it.
Chuck all the belts at him.
All of the champions come out and just give them to him.
Even the Cruiserweight,
And
especially
they
the
rename it
Cruiserweight.
John Tenter Championship Wrestling.
Tenter.
TCW.
It's on every night at 10 to 2.
Anderson Flair got old school out of 10 spanks. And yeah, the real main event time, this is what I had a gripe with.
Go on,
As
then.
you said, we came back from that last advert break. The final thing going into that break was we've got an update on Hogan. We've got an update on Hogan. He's backstage. He's being tended to. But we've got an update on him. Don't go anywhere. They go into the ad break. It's 5 minutes of you sat watching Mr. Frosty adverts or whatever the fuck was being sold back then. And then, come back. We get the gentle pan up and it's like, okay, and next week. That's it. So they promised you the real main event, which could have been a real moment for this sexy show to end off with some sweaty muscles and another neck brace. But no, we're out of time. So it got cock tease out of 10 spanks.
It's keeping them there to stop them going to Raw and also to give them a nice lead in for whatever's next
genius.
on TNT.
It's absolutely genius. Like I don't know what else to say about it. It's like, we've got something important. No, we don't bite.
that last ad break in TV in America is always weird because it is like a fade out, and then when you come back, it's just the credits with Electra scene over the top.
Sometimes they do the other one where it's diagonal on the clock instead of being, how we have 0:00, 1/4 past, 2:30. Americans sometimes shift it so it's like 10 past or 5 past. And it's kind of like that. So when like an episode of American Dad ends and the next one's going to begin, it just starts.
Yeah.
So it goes straight in. So then it's like, oh, I'll stay and I'll watch another one.
Yeah, so that's what that was about.
That's kind of that. But at the same time, what they'll do is you'll see WCW as they do this, as it goes on and on and on, because this is going to happen. It's already happened loads, but it's going to continue to happen throughout Nitro, where they kind of promise a little thing at the end and it never arrives. But that's why we get there. That's all we got time for, folks. Bye. Next week. See you later.
That's it. They always want to keep you there. Overall thoughts on the 5th, 6th sexy Nitro?
Not as steamy as it should have been.
No. Especially since you got cock
The
tease at
American
end.
males never got their tops off.
Sadly, also from the Observer, the American males have already lost their WCW tag team titles, but we just haven't seen it yet.
Scotty, I'm so disappointed.
Sorry to end on a
Marcus,
sad note.
I expected out of you. Scotland. Not mad. I'm just You better get out there and win them back, mate. That's all I'm saying.
You'll get a nice sexy rating next week if you do.
Yeah, you win those titles back, mate. You'll get an 11 out of 10.
And until we are next back together, he is at Lestified on Twitter.
In the lead up to World Audio Drama Day on October 30th, Acast is featuring our favorite fiction podcasts. Here's one we think you'll love.
Sing in me, muse, and tell a hero's tale. A cyborg who escaped the gates of hell. A traveler spurred on home by destiny. His name was Lowell. Or as I call him, me.
Oblivity presents The Lowelliad, an epic and totally plausible tale, part of Acast's Audio Fiction Week.
Use hashtag Acast Audio Fiction Week on socials to tell us about your favorite fiction podcasts. Acast recommends.
About Tom Campbell on Twitter. We're out of time.